So let's continue our discussion of functions. Before, we've already talked about what domains and ranges of functions are. Now I want to talk about graphing functions. So a quick review of where we left off. Toolkit functions. These are very, very important for you to know. The easy one is the line. This is y equals x. You should memorize these, or at least jot them down. If you need to pause the video, feel free to do so. Alright, so what comes right after that is y equals x squared, or the parabola. Now, to keep this gravy train rolling, we will talk about y equals x cubed. It's the snake function, because it kind of looks like an S. Well, except backwards, and with a lot less curvature. So it looks nothing like an S, but I still think it looks like a snake. Okay, so, oops, let's label this y equals x cubed. Okay, moving right along. To keep in the pattern of exponentials, let's talk about this guy. Now this is y equals the square root of x. Okay, good. Here, this is the exponential function. Okay, it looks like this. So this is y equals a to the x. Now, when I say a here, I mean that a is a real number. Okay? So that's what these little symbols mean. This means in. In, or in element of. Alright? And then this thing, this funny looking R, just stands for the real numbers. So this is pretty much every number you've ever seen that didn't involve a square root of a negative number. Okay? And then we have one more in this batch, and that's kind of the opposite of the exponential, and that's the logarithmic function. So the logarithmic function and the exponential function, those are inverses. Y equals square root of x and y equals x squared. Those are inverses with restrictions on the domains. Y equals x cubed. Those are just nice odd functions. When I say odd, I mean when you plug in a negative value, the function itself is also a negative value. So let's keep moving. Our next graph is the hyperbola. Does everyone know what a hyperbola is? Well, now you do. It's y equals 1 over x. This is the most basic of the hyperbolas. So why am I doing this? Why am I making you learn this? All of these. Well, and feel free to rewind the video if you need to. All functions that you can graph can be thought of as variations on these that I've given you, or most functions anyway. Sometimes you have sum functions, sometimes you have difference functions and ratio functions and other things. But if we look at something like y equals 2x plus 3, and we want to graph that, well, that's pretty simple. You throw up a y-axis, throw up an x-axis, we go to y equals 3, we mark that down as the y-intercept, we count up 2 over 1, there's another line we go down 2 over 1, so it looks like this, and we can take this line, shoot it up, this one. Yay, that was really, really simple. But what about something a little bit more complicated? Like, I don't know, y equals 3 plus 2 log base 7 of 4x minus 5. Yeah, that looks more complicated. How would we go about graphing that? So really, this is the sort of thing that this section is aiming to tell you and aiming to teach you, is how to do these sorts of problems.